Spence, you have the list for the Hall of Fame inductees and the
The
ones
Ho-
that didn't make it.
All right. So for the ones that, well, of course, the one that made it, of course, it goes like this. Hang on, gentlemen. I'm sorry. All right. So the ones that made it is a Alex Fancy, Coach Tom Flores, Calvin Megatron Johnson, John Lynch, Peyton Manning, Bill Nunn, Drew Pearson, and Charles Woodson. Those are the ones that made it. That means the ones that sadly did not make it would also be Jared Allen, defensive end of the Vikings that we mostly know from the Vikings and Chiefs. Rondé Barber, of course, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer safety. Tony Verselli, tackle from the Jags in Houston. Leroy Butler, safety from the Packers. Torrey Holt, mostly known as times with the Rams and Jags. Clay Matthews, of course. Um, of course, linebacker. I'm not Sean. Sam Mills, Richard Seymour, Zach Thomas, and of course, the last but not least, Reggie Wayne, wide receiver of the Colts.
All right. So, Trey, what are your thoughts on who made it and the ones that didn't make it that you believe that it should have?
Um, so as far as the guys who were in per se, I don't have any issue with the majority of them. Um, Drew Pearson one is interesting, because up until last year, I have never heard of this man. I'm gonna be honest, like never heard of him. Now, granted, I'm born in '89, so he played in the '70s, so I don't know too much about that, but in the '70s, obviously about the Steelers were big back then, the Raiders were big back then, Dallas was pretty big back then, the Dolphins, like, stuff like that. Still, it's a name I've never heard. Like when I think of like '70s, like you hear receivers, his is not a name that I personally have heard come up. Now he kind of, I won't say came to fame, but like more, I guess people around like in our era caught wind of who he was because he went viral on social media last year for he pretty much broke down crying. He was like that, they do this every year, and they snub him every single season or whatever, and he deserves to be in there. And so I did do some research on him, in which he is part of the '70s All Decade team, in which he up until now was the only member, like literally the only person on the All Decades team who was not in the Hall of Fame. Like every other
Oh,
person that was part of that All Decades team, they've all been in the Hall of
yeah,
Fame
okay.
for years at this point. So while I get it in that aspect of it, that's it's messed up, and I get where he's coming from that aspect. But when we're looking at it from this year specifically, you had four receivers. You had Calvin Johnson, you had him, Torrey Holt, and Reggie Wayne. His numbers are nowhere near anything of these people. Now I get it, you can say different era, he, blah blah blah, but I mean,
Goes back to that KG comment.
it kind of does go back to that. But if we're voting right now, and like I said, I had to do research just to find out who this man was. To
Uh-huh.
me, I don't see how you would put him in over a Torrey Holt, who's part of that greatest show on turf, and I mean his numbers speak for themselves, and Reggie Wayne as well. So that was my only issue with it. Not saying that he didn't deserve to get in, because, like I said, it's kind of messed up that he's the only person from that '70s All Decade team that literally everybody else is in the Hall of Fame but him. So
Except him.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. But I just think the year that they decided to do it, to me, doesn't make sense unless you were going to put all the receivers in. Because like we talked about when we first went over the potential list, that there's not actually a set number of players that get inducted every year. It just is a matter of if it's unanimous, as far not unanimous, but as far as
Yeah,
when
they get the votes.
everybody's voting, when like Peyton Manning, I'm pretty sure everybody was just like, yes, of course. So
it was reported of when they were doing it. It was 7 seconds.
yeah,
7 seconds. Everybody just said, "Yep, move on."
There's nothing. You don't need to see the film. You don't need to see. No.
Who we're looking at? Peyton. Yep, move on.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was kind of just weird for me for as far as Drew Pearson, just for that. As far as a snub, and it might be a little biased, but I think out of all, which I don't think none of the linebackers or defensive ends or anything made it. It sounds like, right?
Defensive ends?
No linebackers.
Linebackers? No.
Okay, so yeah, Jared Allen didn't go. Okay, no.
Rich Seymour didn't go.
Clay Matthews didn't go.
Sam Mills didn't go.
Okay, but for me, out of all those people who I thought probably would have got in or should have gotten in, I was surprised that Zach Thomas didn't get the votes to get in. Mm-hmm. That was a little. I mean, and again, it might be a little biased, but I mean, Zach Thomas was a monster back in his day. Clay Matthews, I feel like a little early for him, so I understand Clay Matthews waiting. Like he literally was just playing like 2 years ago, if not last year.
He was playing last year.
Last season.
If not last year, which I thought you had to be. I thought you had to be retired a certain amount of years before you're even eligible. Which that's crazy.
Now under the fence, it could be his dad. Is dad playing now?
Who?
I'm pretty sure that was Clay Matthews.
Okay. Well, anyways, I thought it was like a 2 year, like a 2 to 4 year span.
Oh no, and you are correct though.
It's his dad, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, then yeah, it will make more sense. Then.
But yeah, they say this is 20th year of eligibility, so he's been waiting a while.
Yeah.
Might be waiting a little bit longer.
Maybe wait a little bit longer, just a little bit.
And then that's crazy. Yeah, which.
What?
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I thought you had to be retired a certain amount of
years. Yeah, I was gonna say that's a little bit too early for
there's no way that he could even be eligible right now.
Right.
So, nonetheless, though, yeah, Zach Thomas though for me, Jared Allen, you could make an argument, I guess. He did have some really good years,
especially with the Vikings. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, but like I said, if anybody was gonna make it from like linebacker or defensive in standpoint, I thought it was Zach Thomas was going to be the lock for that. Charles Woodson, another, like, to me that was like Peyton Manning. Like, what are we talking about?
But we got Charles Woodson. Yeah, move on.
That's just for me. Like, the man pretty much literally had 2 different careers. Like, you could split them down in half.
And
to me, he's more known for Oakland, his time at Oakland, but he was a big part of that Super Bowl run. That Aaron Rodgers, 3 MVPs, 1 Super Bowl to show for all that. But unfortunately, it was against us. But nonetheless, Charles Woodson was a big part.
Second best Super Bowl ever. Well, third best Super Bowl ever. First 2 are my Bucks winning Super Bowl.
Anyways, but yeah. That's it as far as snubs to me. Yeah, everybody else I was okay with. I know some people, I mean, Vick might have something to say about Rondé, but like I said, as far as with the DBs that did go in, John Lynch and Charles Woodson, they were kind of like no brainers for me. Like, it just when I think of like big hit. Like we've debated. I don't think we've done it on the show yet. It might be something we can another topic we can bring up sometime soon here. But like think about some of the biggest hitters or best safeties from like our era coming up, like in the '90s, like mid
Mm,
'90s, early 2000s.
mm,
Like you have to mention John Lynch's name with the
yeah.
Bucks or with Broncos. After you're gonna mention John Lynch along with like the Brian Dawkins and people like that. But
Hmm.
John Lynch
Shout out
is
to you, man.
definitely stands out.
Yeah. Especially Brian Dawkins.
ST.
But yeah,
Um,
how about y'all?
for
Oh,
me, I'm big on Jack Thomas, so yeah, that's one for me. I would, I would, I get it for Drew that out of the all decades one I'm sitting out still, so I get it, but I still would have, I still would have gave it to Tory to me. Uh, but other than that, I mean, Peyton was a shoe in, Charles was a shoe in, so yeah. John, I feel like he was a shoe in. Um, the Megatron thing, I get it, but I just felt like it was too early for me. Um,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
I just feel like it's too early for me. For me, it's a little bit too
No,
early.
so
Um,
yeah, so it go. Me and Vic kind of talked about it offline before we even started recording today, and it was just like it goes back to me for like with I hate to always bring up when anytime we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame and their voting, I'm going to go back to this because it's egregious that it even happened. The fact that it took T.O. 3 years to get voted in, and his numbers are 10 times better than Calvin Johnson's numbers. Sorry. It's just the fact of the matter. You can say that. And I don't think you saying that Megatron had a bigger impact on the league. I don't think that you could maybe argue it, but I don't think it because T.O. was T.O. Like besides Randy
yeah,
Moss in that era, like Randy
Tio
Moss
was
was
here.
T.O. Like
Yeah,
so you can't I don't even think you can use that argument.
right,
Now you can say you like Megatron better, which that's what it came down to, honestly.
right,
They liked
right.
Megatron more than they liked Terrell Owens. But if we're just talking strictly by the numbers and the longevity of a playing career, there's no reason that Megatron got voted in first ballot, but T.O. had to wait 3 years.
Yeah, but for me, other than that, no, I'm good. Uh, Jared Allen and Seymour was kind of those, especially Richard. It's like kind of those names. Like, yeah, I thought you would have made it, but
I
other
thought
than
they would have
that,
given it to Richard Seymour. He was
yeah,
part of that Patriot dynasty to start
yeah.
out early, but
But like I said, I get it. It's cool. We just gotta see next year.
all right, Vic.
um, well, in terms of as Trey and Spence, y'all been talking about. Well, for one, Trey, you talking about Drew Pearson's earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I know some about him just because I used to watch a lot of old school game film, just because I wanted to know who was who, just kind of to be up to date. Seeing a lot of those dang cowboy glory days, and whether it was the 70s, 90s, 60s,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers, um,
You know.
Washington football. Well, Washington football team. I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah.
Um, Miami
Good for you too, Vic.
Dolphins, like all the documentaries. Um, any of the NFL films that they would show on ESPN or whatever, I would sit down and watch all of that. So I have some familiarity with Drew Pearson's. He's a good receiver. He's not a bad receiver at all. It's just in terms of the names that he would continually be put up against, as Trey was talking about, uh, those players are probably. above and beyond, a different level of receiver compared to Drew Pearson's. And I feel like that's part of the reason why he kept getting overlooked, or just, he just had to wait so long. And it's no offense to him, kind of like we were talking about with the other topic with KG.
Right.
It's just he was in an era where running the football was more dominant than anything. So obviously his numbers may not be as dominant, as impressive to the eye than what you see from Torrey Hall, Reggie Wayne, and all those other receivers. I guess just one of those, let's get this out the way, let's put them in, kind of a sympathy kind of thing. So glad that's out the way. Of course, I would probably prefer Torrey Hall, Reggie Wayne, Calvin Johnson over him, but there's something that's long overdue. So congratulations to him. As, as you both were talking about, Zach Thomas, I thought he was, a possibility to making it in. But I guess, it could kind of be like a biased thing. To where, like any Bucks fan, they're like, hey, I want Rondé to get in. I feel like he deserves it with his numbers, his stats. But, he's probably going to have to wait. Maybe next time around, Rondé, Zach, all of them can be all in the same class. Jared Allen, all could be in the same class for the Hall of Fame. Calvin Johnson. Now, I I was trying to look up the numbers to see the stat by stat comparison, him and Terrell Owens, since Trey mentioned it, but didn't have enough time to do that whole research on it. But I think that would have been a good comparison to see, not in terms of longevity, because obviously Terrell Owens played longer than Calvin Johnson. But also, you also have to think too, Calvin Johnson had played with some bad quarterbacks up until his third year, played on some bad teams, was predominantly the one and only receiver. And, even though he retired young, just like Barry Sanders did, you can only imagine how his stats would have been, if he would have played out his season, especially playing with good quarterbacks. And nothing against Matthew Stafford. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's a great quarterback, to be honest. He's just been playing on a bad team and a very inconsistent organization with different head coaches, different offensive coordinators. But, to me, I'm a big Calvin Johnson fan, but I also do love Terrell Owens. I once, I believe, stated on this show that I like Terrell Owens. I think we were all talking about receivers. Our favorite receiver. I think Trey was saying he likes Randy Moss. I'm not too sure what Spence said. I think he said the same thing, but I know I said Terrell Owens. No, we all picked different receivers.
Yeah.
But yeah, Terrell Owens, I think he is a better receiver than not Calvin Johnson. Jerry Rice, Randy Moss. But I guess it's all really subjective. It's only really depending on your preference, your type of player. Just like everybody has their preference on, like, in terms of like the whole Jordan, Kobe, LeBron thing. You're gonna have your favorite. Regardless, Terrell Owens, I think he can do it all. Calvin Johnson, he's the same, pretty much build. I would like to say he's also faster. Um, I, I think everybody can agree with that. But I would like to see, but in terms of, jump ball, I feel like Calvin Johnson has all that. But again, going into the numbers, regardless, we all know why Terrell Owens had to wait as long as he did. It's wrong. It's not right. I was surprised that his name was called, but I am happy because I am a big Calvin Johnson fan. So other than that, everybody else, I really don't have any dispute towards anything else. I feel like next year or maybe within the next couple years, these players will get their names called.
Yeah. Okay. So just to humor you, while you were talking, I pulled it up for you just to
Appreciate you.
throw it out there. So
Did you
one that
compare 10 like the same amount of yardage in the time that Calvin Johnson played compared to
oh, so you want to break it down like by the years?
or or because like how I was gonna break it down was gonna be Calvin Johnson's third year in the NFL, um, and then go from there because I know his first 2 years he didn't have such big numbers. He didn't have he didn't have Matthew Stafford until his third year.
Right.
So that's how I was gonna break it down. But I don't.
Well,
I know
no,
there's a,
I just pulled up their overall.
but you could do that. That's fine.
Okay, so just overall numbers, and then I mean, you factor
Yeah, we
in.
know it's gonna be more than yeah.
So 731 receptions, 11,619 yards. He averaged 15.9 per reception and had 83 touchdowns. So that's Calvin.
Mhm.
Now, T.O. 1,078 receptions, which obviously he played longer, so
Yep.
he's gonna have more receptions.
Right.
Now, 15,934 yards. So you could say if he played a couple more years, was that obtainable? Maybe.
Yeah. Possibly.
Uh, he
Possibly.
averaged 14.8 yards per reception, and that might just have to do with maybe the speed thing you're saying. Calvin was a little faster, maybe that had something to
Yeah.
do with that. And then 153 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I mean, granted, he did play shorter, but like I said, the numbers they're nowhere near close. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe the yardage, the receiving
Yeah. The
yardage is the
yardage.
closest thing.
The
That,
touchdown is a little different,
yeah,
but
Yeah.
again, that like I said, that's based on To being on better offenses. Obviously, he started his career with the 49ers, then the Cowboys,
well, no, he went to Philly,
Eagles.
then,
Oh, Philly, my bad.
but yeah,
Yeah, Philly, then Dallas, and then
yeah, it kind of got
forgot who. Oh,
rough after that.
Cincinnati.
Cincy,
Cincinnati had a great year with.
Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo. That's when it went down the hill, downhill.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was a Bill.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he played on some pretty good and good offensive minded coaches. Compared to Calvin Johnson,
Hey,
nobody can really name.
that's my quarterback.
Hey, yeah,
That's
you
my
know,
quarterback.
exactly. Tony Romo. Never forget that.
Which he will be a finalist next year. Like
Romo?
Oh yeah.
he'll be eligible next year. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Romo?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
he'll probably
yeah.
take a few years.
He's been retired like 5, 6 years at this point, something like that.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I don't. That's
I
different.
mean, no, but all right.
I think he's gonna get another 5 years before he gets inducted. In my opinion.
If we're being fair here, though, I can say when they were playing that Tony Romo was a better. He was probably the best quarterback in that division, better than Eli Manning. Now,
What
granted, he
about
doesn't.
what
Now,
about
granted,
McNabb?
well, okay, McNabb, yeah, but McNabb was not the starter by the like. He was like at the back end when Tony Romo was like
Yeah, coming
picking
up.
things. You know what I'm saying? But even so, that kind of makes it worse. So you have McNabb was over him and Romo was over him, but you everybody knows like I'm an advocate that Eli's not a Hall of Famer in my opinion. Like I will continue to always scream that he was an average player at best. He just has the last name, and he just so happened to beat Tom Brady in 2 Super Bowls. So those two things are gonna, propel him to ultimately he's gonna be a Hall of Famer. There's nothing, two,
Two.
yeah.
Got two of them.
So I mean, yeah, I guess you could say one was a fluke, but once you get it a second time, it's kind of hard to argue it.
Nah.
But again, my whole thing about that is okay. So you had 2 good seasons out of 16. That's still not a Hall of Famer to me. I'm sorry. So you're a bum the other 14 years you played.
We'll get to it when we get there.
But hey, no, I'm not even going to be here for that show. When they tell me that, when I find out the report that Eli is getting inducted, yeah, y'all just have that topic.
No, we're gonna have this talk.
I've said it.
We're gonna have this talk.
There's nothing to say. His numbers speak for themselves.
We're gonna.
I don't gotta say anything. But anyways, though, I think I would have to look at the numbers. I'm pretty sure because Eli did play longer too. His numbers probably ultimately look better than Romo's, but
probably
the thing I would probably look at is like passer rating, win-loss record. I'm pretty sure Romo's is better.
Yeah.
Interceptions is probably better. So Romo's issue was the playoffs.
Yeah.
Eli was more so like he was just like borderline average, except when he did the couple times he did get to the playoff. Well, those 2 specific times he went to the playoffs, I should say. He just, they caught fire, and he did his
defense.
Thing. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, the defense. But whatever. Somebody out there that's a Giants fan, they're gonna hate me because they feel like that's their boy.
I feel like defensive running really helped Eli.
Yeah, I mean, he played. They were running the ball because remember Josh Jacobs. I mean, not Josh Jacobs. Brandon Jacobs.
Bradshaw.
And Bradshaw, Maud Bradshaw. They were both like just.
It was a third one too. They had called him Earth, Wind, and Fire. It was a third one too.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember the third one, but
Jacob.
I remember Brandon Jacobs.
I know you're talking about.
I remember Jacobs because he was like the Derrick Henry at that time.
Yeah, it was Jacobs.
In terms of like breaking tackles.
Bradshaw. Dang, who was that there?
But Ahmad Bradshaw was a beast.
All night.
But yeah, defense, run game, and kind of like a little bit limited passing.
He had Tiki early in his career too, so
yeah.
He always had a run game for the most part.
Yeah, it's just they try to make him into something that
he had Saquon towards the end of this year. So
yeah,
when has he not had
Odell?
When has he not had a running back? Like maybe you can name like a little 2-year span or something. But
yeah, probably a few years span because obviously there was the Giants went into the draft needing a running back, and that's when they decided to go ahead and invest into Saquon. Because obviously they already had Odell, but they felt like they needed a running back because I remember some of the running backs that they had on their team, and one of them is currently on the roster that I always forget his name. He was playing for most of the year since when Saquon went down. And then there's another one that I was pretty high on coming into the draft, but he didn't pan out to be anything at all for the Giants. So. But yeah, I could say the same, defense, running the ball, and just play action, not really allowing Eli to be. Derek Ward. Yep, there you go.
Okay.
And the Bucs signed him after that, and he was never nothing over in Tampa.
Giants had wasted all the juice out of them tires by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bust. But yeah, so anybody else have anything they want to say?
I'm good.
No, I mean, it is what it is. Eli's not a Hall of Famer. I don't care. Quote me, tag me, argue, disagree. I don't care. He should not be in the Hall of Fame. Sorry, but we'll get to that when we get to it, or y'all will get to it, because I feel like anytime somehow he comes up, somehow he always comes up.
We're gonna get
and it irks me that, because I know it's inevitable, it's gonna happen.
It's going to happen, and guess what, Trey? We're going to be the first one to talk about it.
Y'all will, yes, you too. I'm gonna sit here quiet and let y'all have it, because I've made my case.
It's not how the show works.
It's very simple.
The show works. It's not how the show works. It's not how the show
that
works.
day is how it's gonna work. They can just go back and watch this episode and a couple other episodes, and I'm pretty sure in between there, somehow that name, if you just say Elijah, I'm gonna think, oh, Eli Manning is not a Hall of Famer, and it's just gonna come up, and I'm gonna say something else about him. And the thing is, I have nothing personal against Eli Manning at all. Like, I have nothing against him. It's just
Hall of Famer. I got you. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, but yeah, if we don't have anything else,
go Bucks.
Yeah,
champions.
Anything besides that. we did enough. We did enough of that already. All right.
Welcome to the off season.
Welcome to let you have. Anyways,
I can't hear you.
Anyways, so check this out, y'all. You've heard what we had to say, like my last take on Eli Manning, right? So you can agree, you can disagree, but at the end of the day, all takes are valid.
You're wrong, by the way, Trey.
Oh boy.
All right, boys.
All right.